Ryan Longwell getting set to kick it away to number 12, Quan Cosby, the rookie free agent out of the University of Texas. And we are underway. Cosby at the 11, 25, and across the 30, and a penalty marker is down. Our referee today is Scott Green.
Holding, receiving team, number 92. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That penalty on Frosty Rucker will back the Bengals up. The Bengals start from their own 15-yard line. And we have a penalty marker and a false start.
Prior to the snap, false start, right tackle, 5-yard penalty, first down.
There's number 85. The Bengals from their own 10. Palmer to throw.
Here go the Bengals with that big offensive line. They go overload, and then they shift back into a conventional offense.
The give is to Benson.
Well, Greg, this is about as bad a start as the Bengals could have dialed up. You get a penalty on the kickoff return. You get a false start before you even run the first play. And on your first series, Marvin Lewis is looking at a 3rd and 12 situation deep in their own territory. This is not an ideal way to start a football game, especially on the road, especially against a very good team.
Jasper Brinkley was in on that last stop, the rookie middle linebacker. Palmer from the shotgun on 3rd and 14. Complete out of the backfield to Leonard. And Leonard diving for the marker on the far side of the field. And it would appear he has the first down.
Boy, what an effort. What an effort by Brian Leonard. Look at the way that he extended and reached out with that football to get it across the line. Well, I know the Vikings are disappointing that a check down results in a 14-yard pickup, but what a nice job by Leonard of realizing where he was on the field and reaching for that first down.
So Benson back into the lineup, and Cincinnati goes with 2 tight ends. Right up the middle, across the 35, and another first down to the 37-yard line. Did you see the way Carson Palmer did the handoff?
Yes, well, Carson Palmer's got a bad thumb on his left hand, so he's gone to handing the ball off right-handed. Check this out right here. That is so unorthodox. The way you should do it is take your left hand and jam it in there, but Palmer's had to make the adjustment.
Meanwhile, Antoine Winfield and Chad Ochocinco facing off for the first of several times today. Palmer outside, almost picked off by Medill Williams, the former Cincinnati Bengal.
Well, if anybody has an understanding of the Bengals passing game, it's number 20. Medill Williams, a longtime Bengal who came here to the Vikings last year, and boy did he read this. Well, there's no way you say that he should have intercepted that. He just made a heck of a play on it. And luckily for Carson Palmer, he put the ball where he did, or that would have been picked.
2nd and 10. Play fake, Palmer throws, far side, complete, but that's going to go nowhere. Ochocinco with his first reception of the day.
Well, the Minnesota Vikings are defensively having to compensate for the loss of E.J. Henderson, their middle linebacker. And there's the guy that's taken his place, the rookie Jasper Brinkley, 5th-round pick.
Interference, offense, number 11. Penalty is declined, 3rd down.
That penalty is on Lavernius Coles.
Well, it's not going to be a factor because of the fact that the play lost yardage. But as this day goes along, we'll look at Brinkley and how he's having to step into some very large shoes in E.J. Henderson.
Cincinnati, the best in the league at third down conversions of 10 or more yards. They're looking at a 3rd and 10 here. And another penalty.
Another false start.
This one looked like it might have been Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle.
Boy, and Marvin is upset.
False start. Offense. Number 63.
Nope.
5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
The right guard, Bobby Williams.
He's talking to his line mate, Kyle Cook, the center.
3 penalties worth 20 yards already against the Bengals.
And, you know, the one is a holding call on a kickoff return. Those kind of things happen. But 2 of them pre-snap false starts. That's just not either paying attention or just a little overly excited at the beginning of a game.
Palmer needs the 47 for a 1st down. Look out. He goes down inside his own 20-yard line. Courtesy of Brian Robinson.
Well, you expect pressure off the edge, and they got some from Jared Allen, but Robinson comes right up the middle. Take a look at Robinson. He's working against Bobby Williams, the right guard, and Williams lets him go. Williams thinks that he's got a center inside to help him, and he just kind of does a wave by to Robinson, who buries Palmer.
Minnesota's 41st sack of the season. That's tops in the National Football League. Darius Reynaud back for the kick. Reynaud from the 39. Midfield. Penalty marker is down.
Holding. Receiving team number 14 during the return. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
And he'll start by handing the ball off to 28. Favre, short pass, incomplete.
That's right, now run.
On 3rd down, Favre throwing. Incomplete. Getting a hand on it is Sidney Rice, number 18. So it's a 3-and-out for Favre and company.
Well, give a lot of credit to Cincinnati right there with the coverage. That is really outstanding work by Leon Hall. Look at Lee. He's got the inside position. He's right into the chest, and he just looks like he's a receiver. It looked like there were 2 receivers going after that football. Can't do it any better than the young corner, Leon Hall.
Chris Cluey kicking it away. Quan Cosby. Fair catch. Made at about the 30-yard line. Welcome back to Minneapolis. And the Cincinnati Bengals will start from their own 30-yard line. Had 15 yards of total offense on their first drive and regressed 20 yards in penalties. On 1st down, the give is to Benson. And Benson brought to a halt at the line of scrimmage. Some of those watching, the Minnesota National Guard, 34th Infantry over in Iraq. And we are glad to have you as part of our viewing audience.
They just saw themselves.
Well, you don't know that. It could have been the stop of Cedric Benson at the line of scrimmage.
That's Jamarcus Sanford, who we're looking at right now, who's getting the start today at strong safety. Terrell Johnson missing today's game with a concussion. So the Vikings starting 2 rookies who normally don't start on defense.
Here's Benson again, and again. Stacked up for maybe a half a yard.
And that's the rookie at middle linebacker, Jasper Brinkley. And you talk to all the Vikings, and they say, I'll tell you one thing about this guy. He can hit. And watch him right there just slide over. Boy, does he lower the shoulder and drive right into Cedric Benson. And again, that I can't imagine how long Carson Palmer had to practice that right-handed handoff, and really puts a lot of pressure on the backs. Instead of having the ball slammed into their stomach, they're now having to more or less take it from Palmer. It's not being delivered. They're having to take it.
3rd and 9. He dropped it, and we're going to get a false start here. Whistle's going to blow it down as Palmer gets dragged down by Jared Allen from behind.
And you can see that most of the players didn't hear the whistle. They played it out.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 85. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Wow. 3 false starts already on the Bengals. Brad Childress over there, the Minnesota head coach, is saying, yeah, well, this is pretty much the way I'd like to see it start.
Well, the best thing that's happening for Brad Childress right now is when Cincinnati has the football. Line of scrimmage to 26. Screen to this side. Leonard tripped up at the 25-yard line by Antoine Winfield.
Well, Antoine Winfield he missed 6 games, and one of the things since the day he got in the league, his calling card, he might be the best tackling cornerback in football. How do you think he got that reputation? Maybe plays like that?
Raynaud deep. End over end. It's going to bounce out of bounds. Number 28, Adrian Peterson, coming off a 19-yard performance last week. Dan, he said he wished they could have played on Monday.
Yeah, it'd be a good performance if he only carried the ball once, but unfortunately he carried it 13 times. And you're right, a lot of frustration. He's not used to being handcuffed like that. They were getting beat at the line of scrimmage, something the Vikings don't normally have happen.
28 gets the handoff across the 35.
8 of 10 on the opening drive. Nice start.
Chester Taylor in the backfield for the Vikings on 2nd and 7. And Taylor, boy, there is some hitting going on. He's forward to the 37-yard line. Well, I think rookie Ray Maualuga.
Well, I think this is such an excellent matchup when the Vikings have the football. First of all, their offensive line was a little embarrassed last week against Arizona. They feel they got handled at the line of scrimmage.
Out-tempoed was the phrase of the week.
Right. Getting your butt whipped is another way of looking at it. And you know they would like to come out and look a lot better today. But so far, Cincinnati pretty stout up front.
On 3rd and 5, Favre over the middle, incomplete. Number 22,
there's a late
Jonathan
flag.
Joseph. That is a late flag. Jonathan Joseph covering Sidney Rice coming across the middle.
The question is, there's contact, but was it inside 5 yards? And was it while the ball was in the air? That's a couple issues the crew's got to discuss.
Illegal contact, defense, number 22, 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Well, right now the Bengals in 8 minutes of football have 5 penalties already. And on the road, that is a killer. That is just really a horrific start to a football game for Marvin Lewis's crew.
There's 2 ways to look at it. Number 1, maybe you're getting them all out of the way earlier. Number 2, it just doesn't bode well for the rest of the day.
I really don't think that's what Marvin's thinking about.
Favre on the roll, looking, throws. Visanthe Shanko couldn't hold on.
Oh, look out. That might be 15 yards. Yes. What a dumb play by Shanko. He came up and headbutted. Geez, it couldn't have been any more obvious. Now, I don't know if he provoked or not, but that is an obvious retaliation. Right now, he's hoping that they're offsetting, that maybe Jonathan Joseph gets one as well for some reason.
We've seen a lot of yellow today. Here's Scott Green.
There are 2 fouls on the play that will offset after the play was over. Unnecessary roughness, defense, number 22. Unnecessary roughness, the receiver. Those penalties offset. It's 3rd down.
Well, that's the best that could have happened for Shenko because he was number 2. All right, there's Visanthe Shenko getting up. Oh, and Jonathan Joseph walks right into him. But then there's an... That was there had to be something prior to that. You could see that Shenko was kind of and in comes late and then a bump by Sims, but that really didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, if there was anything, it was against Sims. Jonathan Joseph wasn't guilty of a roughness. Far side complete, and Sidney Rice breaks free up the sideline.
Oh, going back to that play, Greg, the one thing Jonathan Joseph did is he walked directly into Shenko, and it was that's a good call by the official, I think, getting that offsetting.
But it's not unnecessary roughness.
Well, you can't just butt heads. You can't act like a couple Rams out there. And I don't mean St. Louis. I'm talking the mountain goat variety.
1st down. Minnesota now at the Cincinnati 41. Peterson for a couple. Let's go back and look at it.
Yeah, you know, from the one angle, it looks like Shenko's the aggressor. This one right here, you see you can see him right there, and of course Joseph snaps his head back, but really Joseph is walking right towards him.
But I repeat, I don't see an unnecessary roughness on 22.
Well, he did not have to walk right towards him and right into his face, which is what Jonathan Joseph did. I think that's a good offsetting call.
2nd and 7. Peterson. Chinadum and Dukwe coming up from the secondary, and a pretty good stop on number 28.
Well, this is a gap defense at its very best. Take a look at him up here on the line of scrimmage. Look at this line across here. Every guy has his gap, and the guy who has the edge is in Dukwe. And so when he sees that there's nothing inside, he knows Peterson is coming. He drives upfield and meets him right where his gap responsibility was, right on the edge.
Loss of 3, 3rd and 10, and Chester Taylor in the backfield.
Well, you heard all the way in your living room that hard count by Brett Favre.
Encroachment, defense, number 57, 5-yard penalty.
Those guys are up there. They are ready to blitz, and Brett Favre gets them to go with a hard count. That did it. Your nerves are quivering. You are ready to explode across the line of scrimmage, and the old guy, he got him. That was a free 5 yards.
Dahani Jones was the first of several who jumped.
6 penalties already on Cincinnati.
3rd and 5. Favre rolling right under pressure, throws in, it's intercepted. Picked off by Leon Hall, the cornerback. Bengals at their own 31-yard line. Pass out here.
I think Antoine Winfield is back. What do you think?
Completely destroyed that play to the near side.
Oh, he misses 6 games with a fractured foot. Listen to this. Take a look at this right here. Just perfect. Well, this guy loves to hit. Since the day he got here 10 years ago, he loves to smack people. Antoine Winfield, the best support corner in football.
2nd and 10. And Larry Johnson into the game for the first time today. Johnson gets the handoff. Pat Williams makes the stop. Brett Favre threw 3 interceptions through his first 11 games of this season. He's thrown 3 in the last 2 games.
Well, there's that backside pressure I talked about, Brandon Johnson. Brett felt that and unloaded it, but he threw it to a guy that is never open. Leon Hall is underneath. The only way he could possibly do is float it over the top to Berrien. Leon Hall, what an outstanding start to a football game. Remember that great coverage he had on the first series against Sidney Rice.
On 3rd down, Carson Palmer throws an incomplete, intended for Quan Cosby, number 12, and that'll force the punt.
Well, we're getting a textbook in this game so far from 2 of the game's better corners. Antoine Winfield doing it for Minnesota, and Leon Hall on the other side for Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's first 3 drives of this game, 5 yards, -4 yards, and none on that last possession. Line drive, kick out of bounds at about the 35-yard line or so. They're going to actually bring it up to about the 37 or 38. Favre and company from the 38-yard line. And an effort to get Adrian Peterson going. He bounces across the 40 out to about the 43-yard line. A pickup of about 6. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Well, Adrian Peterson, he'll bounce it, he'll go downhill, he'll lower the pads. He's a complete back, and that's one of the better creases he's seen for a while. And boy, do the Vikings need to get a running game going. Brett Favre is 1 for 5 with a pick.
2nd and 4, it's Peterson again. And Peterson will be about a yard or so shy of a first down. Dhani Jones, Keith Rivers with the stop. You know, we talked with Dhani Jones yesterday. Doesn't it feel like you're sitting down with a college professor?
He is very cerebral. He is eclectic. He is a guy who has a diverse appetite for doing different things, travels the world, willing to tackle almost anything, not just a ball carry, but I'm talking about away from football. An interesting guy.
3rd and 1. Peterson again. First down and then some. Midfield. 40 to the 38 of Cincinnati and a first down.
Well, we've got an injured Bengal back at the 45-yard line. Is that Chris Crocker?
Or, yeah, it is Chris Crocker, number 42, the safety. Chris Crocker able to walk off the field under his own power off of that last 15-yard run by Adrian Peterson.
Well, here he comes right in behind his fullback, and again, so typical. It looks like there's nothing there, but the legs keep churning. You know, it's Peterson's own little mantra. He goes, it's famine, famine, and then a feast. You know, he's used to getting stacked up at the line of scrimmage, but he knows he will break one eventually.
From the 38. And he loses yardage on this one.
I remember the first time we talked to Brad Childress, he said, violent is the way I can describe his running style.
Far from the shotgun on 2nd and 11. With time on the slant. Tipped up in the air and grabbed by Greg Lewis, number 17. Brett Favre makes his 6,000th career completion. An interesting one.
A little unorthodox, and Crocker, who was back in there, is having troubles. But look at this. It's right off of the hands of Berrien, and what a fortunate bounce, or carom, I should say, to Lewis. That's the kind of a deal that could easily be intercepted.
First down at the 21. Favre rolling, under pressure, eludes, and now he's going to run it. He's past the line of scrimmage. That's into the end zone for a touchdown, but I believe he was beyond the line of scrimmage.
And a flag's been thrown. The linesman on the near side of the field here threw a flag. I'm with you, Greg. That was my first impression that he was across the line.
And he wasn't even close.
Illegal forward pass. Quarterback was beyond the line of scrimmage when he released the ball. It is also a loss of down, 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, Brett surprised everybody, but the line of scrimmage is back around the 21-yard line, and you can see Brett's clear down by the 19 by the time he releases the football. He was 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. Now, the good news is, prior to that, a little swivel hip action back there.
So Peterson in the backfield with Favre on 2nd and 11. Short one over the middle, inside the 20 to about the 19 is Peterson. And Ray Maualuga, the terrific rookie linebacker out of Southern Cal.
The Bengals were really fortunate when Maualuga fell into their hands in the 2nd round. Almost everybody thought that he was going to go in the 1st round. That terrific trio of linebackers from Southern Cal, and it really worked out well for the Bengals. They got who they wanted in the 1st round with their tackle Andre Smith, and then a real big pile of whipped cream on top of the sundae, being able to get Maualuga in round number 2.
He was quite happy. Marvin Lewis was with his draft and how they're performing so far this year. We've come to the end of the first quarter. Have moved to the 18-yard line. Favre in trouble and going down at the 23.
Well, that's a coverage sack in its entirety because Brett Favre just could not find anybody open downfield. It's 5-man pressure, but Brett never able to get set. A lot of penetration. Fanene ends up getting the sack, but again, Brett never had any idea where to go with the ball. He had no one open.
Ryan Longwell will try to do well from 41 yards. And that one looks really good. Number 85, Chad Ochocinco, looking for a way to get started. 1 catch, 0 yards. We have 14:28 to play here in the first half. Quan Cosby at his own goal line for the kick. And Cosby from the 3. 20. And out to about the 22-yard line. And here comes 85, who has 1 week after another vows to do one thing or another, and Ragnar was his target this week.
Yeah, he made reference to, if he scored a touchdown, that he would find Ragnar's horn and blow it. Unfortunately, Ragnar's horn is about 12 or 14 feet long on a cart, and they wheel it out of here once the game gets started. But you know, he's got something in mind, and bad news for the Bengals there. That's Chris Crocker there. Their safety, he's got an ankle issue, and he's being taken into the locker room.
The Bengals are going to start this series with Larry Johnson and Jeremy Johnson in the backfield. Larry Johnson out to about the 25-yard line.
The sky might indeed start falling.
Miami is licking its chops. Carson Palmer on the move. And out of the backfield, Larry Johnson looking for the first down marker. And is going to be about 1.5 yards short. Antoine Winfield, surprise, surprise, with the big hit on the sideline.
Well, this is Penn State meeting Ohio State. Palmer finds Johnson, and listen to the thud on this. I'm telling you what, Antoine Winfield, talk about knocking the rust off for a guy that missed 6 games because of a fractured foot. Man, he said he wasn't going to come back till he was 100%. He's looking pretty 100% to me.
3rd and 1. Palmer going to throw for it. Quick slant, and that is complete across the 35 to Andre Caldwell. Oh, Drew Brees is a machine this season, isn't he?
Yeah, I think we'd all like to be on Drew Brees' pay scale.
On first down, Larry Johnson again. And tripped up at about the line of scrimmage by that rookie, Jasper Brinkley, who has big shoes to fill in the loss of E.J. Henderson.
Yeah, he really does. E.J. Henderson, not just the middle linebacker, not just the leader of the defense, but one of the real team leaders across the board. And there you see a good job that time by 54, feeling the blockers, not getting caught up, scraping the way a linebacker should, and then getting upfield.
We referenced it before. Brad Childress told us he thought Jasper Brinkley was as big a hitter as there was coming out of the draft. 2nd and 9. Palmer over the middle, all in and out of the hands of Antoine Winfield.
Well, I'm assuming that ball surprised Winfield, because you don't get that many chances as a defensive back to have one special delivery like this. Jeez, he's just right there. And look at him. A real crowd favorite here in Minneapolis, but man, you need to take advantage of those kind of opportunities.
3rd and 9, and the crowd comes alive. Palmer throwing over the middle, incomplete, under pressure.
And Carson Palmer that time, lucky he wasn't able to get a little more on the football, because that would have been intercepted. Let's take a look at Jared Allen. He's working against Andrew Whitworth. Good job by Whitworth of standing him up. Carson Palmer was initially dealing with pressure from the other side.
4 drives, 4 punts for the Bengals. This is Reynard. Left side, hurdles a tackle, and out of bounds across the 40-yard line.
Oh, there's 15. Maualuga hit him out of bounds. You could see that coming from clear across the stadium. Way out of bounds. The play was over. Renat had come to a stop.
Foul. Number 58, kicking team, late hit out of bounds. 15 yards, 1st down.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't in Marvin Lewis's game plan to come in here and self-destruct. I'll tell you, if you aren't wearing purple in this neck of the woods, you just aren't dressed right. That penalty has moved the line of scrimmage to the 43 of the Cincinnati Bengals. Adrian Peterson to the 40.
Against this defense of Cincinnati, which only gives up 82 yards a game. They're ranked 2nd in the NFL.
Peterson still on his feet inside the 30-yard line, and a 1st down. Surprise, penalty flag.
False start, offense number 71, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's the rookie right tackle, Phil Lodeholt.
The Vikings have 2 enormous human beings playing offensive tackle. Look, you know, that's a huddle full of big people, and he just Lodeholt at 6'8", 343. Bryant McKinney over on the other side, he's 6'8" as well, although he's a wee one at 335.
On 1st and 15, Favre. Under pressure, got rid of it. He went down, incomplete pass. It'll be 2nd and 15.
Oh, boy, did Brett get hit. He ends up on the ground. We got a free runner coming right up the middle right here. Tank Johnson, and he ends up throwing Brett, and Brett actually kind of a controlled landing. At first blush, it looked like he hit a lot harder than he really did. That's not that bad.
Another penalty and a false start.
False start.
Look at Brett's face.
Offense number 81. 81.
Wrong way, Scott.
False start.
Vasanti
5-yard
Shenko.
penalty, 2nd down.
Well, it's one thing for the road team to commit false starts. It's inexcusable for the home team where you're not dealing with any crowd noise. And Brad Childress knows it back-to-back here. He sees Lodeholt get one, his right tackle, and now his tight end, Shenko.
Is it possible for officials to get arm weary?
Well, they're about to wear themselves out. Not to mention they're wearing us out as well. That's 11.
2nd and 20. Favre throwing. That one is complete to Peterson. And Peterson up the sideline. Out of bounds near the 10-yard line. He's out at the 11. It'll be 1st and 10.
And you know how hard that was for Adrian Peterson to step out of bounds instead of lowering a shoulder and taking that hit at the very end of that play. But with age comes a little wisdom. Look at his speed getting to the edge, getting upfield. And I'll tell you right there, the old Adrian Peterson would have lowered his shoulder and gone after somebody. This is being smart. Don't take an unnecessary hit. Man, his speed to get to that edge fools me.
28-yard pickup. Here's Peterson for a couple inside the 10.
Now, Adrian Peterson has had a little problem this year with ball security at times, and mostly when he's been trying to do something extra. He says, you know, I get stood up and they're now coming in and trying to tackle the football instead of me. And you know, that's the way it works in this league. Defenders are getting so adept at ripping the football away from someone. Although with his grip, you wonder how anybody ever gets anything away from him that he doesn't
Shake
want
hands
to
with
have.
him and you can't get away from him. How does he fumble? It's a stingy Cincinnati defense that's allowed just 6 rushing touchdowns in 12 games. So far, will throw for it. Corner of the end zone. Incomplete. Batted away from Sidney Rice by Jonathan Joseph.
And Sidney Rice is so tall, and he can go up and make a play. But Brett's finding something out. These two corners, Jonathan Joseph and Leon Hall for the Bengals, are so good. Now, you can see right there that Joseph, he's not playing the football. He's playing the receiver. He's looking at Rice when he's going up, and he just gets a hand on the football and knocks it away from Rice. Well, I tell you, these two former #1 picks, they are solid.
3rd and 8. Chester Taylor in the backfield. Favre fakes, throws, touchdown. Rice.
Brett Favre still got enough feet and enough movement to extend the play and buy himself time and buy his receivers time to make a move and get open.
Touchdown pass number 27 on the season for Brett Favre, the 5th receiving TD for Sidney Rice. Career touchdown number 491 for number 4, and the kick is good. Number 18, Sidney Rice on the receiving end of the touchdown pass from Brett Favre. 7-play drive, and Adrian Peterson accounting for 44 yards on that drive. 10-0 Vikes.
Everything changes for Minnesota when Peterson can get some room.
Quan Cosby. I don't know what kind of a fake that was. But Quan Cosby was not about to rear up and throw a forward pass. Aaron Henderson.
Ineffective in a short period of time has gotten away from the Bengals. They're used to having a lead, running the football, grinding away on the clock.
Well, they have killed themselves with 50 penalty yards so far in this game. Carson Palmer to throw over the middle. Wide open is Ochocinco to the 30-yard line for a 1st down. You know, our colleague Boomer Esiason, a former Bengal, was really hard on number 85. And there's no, you know, in the pregame show, he was saying that maybe he felt his antics were such a sideshow that he should be deactivated. But in our conversations with the Bengals, and especially with Marvin Lewis, with all due respect to Boomer, they all say no one works harder than number 85 on the Bengals.
They do say that he's the first guy there, the last guy to leave. They love his work ethic. Yes, at times it's a little tiresome, but he's their best receiver. You can't set him down.
Over the middle, incomplete. Nothing but Vikings surrounding the intended receiver.
You know, Greg, I'm from an era where we didn't wear sombreros and ponchos on the sideline and do some of the demonstrative things that he does. But the reality is, and that's a great job by Ben Lieber getting a hand on the ball, he is their most productive wide receiver, and they are a 9-3 football team that just because a guy puts a hat on the sideline, you just can't sit him down and make everyone else on the team pay for it. That makes no sense.
2nd and 10. Cedric Benson looking for running room and finding some of it out across the 35.
But the reality is there are countless people out there that find it very entertaining and humorous.
And what did Chad tell us? He's gone to management and said, if I'm over the top, tell me. Far side, complete. And for a first down, Andre Caldwell.
And that's a good point, Greg. Chad told us that this week he went to both Marvin Lewis, his head coach, and Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, and said, if you think I'm over the top, if you think I've gone too far, tell me and I will stop. I won't do it anymore. And he said Mike Brown, the owner of the team, along with Marvin, said, well, Chad, when we get to that point, I'll tell you. So, you know, it's I'll tell you one thing. He certainly gets people to have an opinion.
And he is not a dumb football player.
Well, he's a very good football player.
First down. Palmer on the move, running, and out of bounds. And more yellow laundry being thrown all over the place. Kevin Williams, you the guilty one?
Personal foul, 93 defense, late hit, out of bounds, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Okay, it's one thing, a running back, a receiver on the sidelines, but the last time I checked, number 9 is a quarterback. And as a defensive lineman, I just can't even venture a guess what could have been going through Kevin Williams' mind when you reach out with both hands. Okay, you didn't knock his helmet off or anything like that, but there is no way ever that's not going to get called. It just, what are you thinking about?
It moves the ball to the Minnesota 39.
How's this for a motion man? 350 pounds.
Benson, running room, 30, 27-yard line, and another first down.
Where the Bengals go to this overload formation where they bring in an extra lineman. And, you know, that's the guy in motion right there. This guy right here, this is Dennis Rowland. I mean, this guy is huge.
He's only 6'9".
He's 6'9", 325. They put him in motion. He comes all the way over there. He sets. I mean, what fun that has to be for an offensive lineman to get to go in motion like that.
Bengals from the 27. Benson to the 20. Cedric Benson missed 2.5 games with a bad hip. Came back with a 36-carry, 110-yard effort against Detroit. His 5th 100-yard rushing game of the season.
Well, I think everyone knows that he started with the Bears and wasn't very productive in Chicago, and he has really found a home here in Cincinnati. How many times do you see it where it's when a player gets to his second team that he really seems to blossom?
2nd and 3. Palmer pulls it down and throws it to nobody. Nobody over there. They're looking to see if he was outside the tackle box. And Scott Green says he was.
Well, and that's a really good job of using your microphone by Scott Green. Go right to it and tell the crowd what's going on.
Before they get overly enthusiastic.
Yeah, and you can see, there's no doubt about it, Carson Palmer had moved outside the tackle box, and he moved the ball and threw it past the line of scrimmage. He fulfilled both requirements, so he wouldn't get an intentional ground.
3rd and 3, and Brian Leonard has come into the game, into the backfield for the Bengals. Ochocinco at the bottom of your screen. Palmer throwing. That's complete, and a first down to the 15-yard line. Caldwell.
Well, this is a wonderful drive by the Bengals, starting clear back inside their own 20-yard line. And you can see right there on the coverage that Winfield fell down. He ended up on the ground. Caldwell, who's, you know, really had to step in since Chris Henry went down with an injury. But Carson Palmer has strung together a really solid drive here.
5 first downs on this drive alone. Palmer throwing this side, complete, touchdown, Ochocinco.
everybody's wondering what's going to happen now, if anything. The result is down 10-0. A sensational effort by the Bengals in getting on the scoreboard. We've got a Minnesota player hurt. Somebody's down on the ground back about the 29.
That's Ray Edwards. Chad Ochocinco, who was battling a swollen knee this week. And Ray Edwards is up. So for Chad, touchdown catch number 7 on the season.
And a mistake by the Vikings to leave him that wide open.
Carson Palmer, 4 of 6 for 39 yards on that drive. The extra point by Shane Graham is good. It's safe to say that as we were approaching halftime, it was a drive and a touchdown that the Cincinnati Bengals needed. 10 plays, 82 yards. Ochocinco on the receiving end of Carson Palmer's touchdown pass. Darius Reynaud from the goal line. To the 20. And bounced out of bounds at about the 25, and let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, I wondered how Ochocinco got so wide open. Here he is right here. Watch, he's going to fake a reverse, come back. Here's Antoine Winfield, who has the coverage. He goes this way and can't recover. He's got Ochocinco man-to-man. They both go that direction, but Chad does a wonderful pivot, comes back, and there's no way Winfield reacts quickly enough. A beautifully designed play by offensive coordinator Bob Bratkowski. That was a good-looking play. Fake the reverse, come back to him on a seam pattern up the sideline. Beautiful.
Now Favre and company from their own 24. And Favre will start throwing the ball. Quick pass, and that is complete to the 30-yard line tight end Visanthe Shenko.
Well, you know, that's a drive by Cincinnati, Greg. That's what good football teams do. When they're up against it, all of a sudden they're on the verge of letting the ball game get away from them. They put together a time-consuming, mature, professional drive. That was big time by the Bengals.
2nd and 4, and Favre with 2 tight ends and Peterson behind him. Here comes 28. Here goes 28. Across the 40 to the 41-yard line.
Ooh, you could see Adrian Peterson, as we look at his eyes, really looking straight ahead. A story this week about, was he giving away plays? He certainly doesn't think so. Nice job there by Tom Nelson, grabbing onto a leg, then an ankle, and holding on. That's Jonathan Fanene. He's hobbled. He came up a big play earlier, and he's one of the guys that, when Antoine Odom, their leading sacker, went down with a torn Achilles back in the middle of October. Fanene is one of those guys that has really stepped up.
Meanwhile, the bad news continues for the Bengal defense. We're told safety Chris Crocker will not return.
Well, we saw Crocker get hurt, and then we saw him come back and try to play. He's got an ankle, and then he just couldn't do it. He left on a cart. Looks like Fanene and Nelson got down there around his feet, and Mike Zimmer, who we're looking at right there. What a wonderful job he has done with this defense. And I think everyone knows the story of how his wife died unexpectedly back in October, and it's just heartbreaking how he has persevered in this defense. They, to a man, they love Mike Zimmer.
Favre on 1st down, threw it away.
And again, Brett is just tossed to the ground. You expect a little pressure on a screen pass, but that's a little too much. No way that thing can develop. And Dukwe coming right off the edge here, 41. That screen didn't get any chance at all to develop.
You know, going back to Mike Zimmer for a moment, Marvin Lewis, a defensive guy himself, talking about how very much he and Mike Zimmer are in sync in the way they think and the way they approach a game.
Marvin says, I'm not involved on game day at all. Mike calls it. You know, Marvin was a famed defensive coordinator. Said, I have nothing to do.
2nd and 10, Favre with time. Far side of the field, and that's complete. Bernard Berrien with the catch, just short of midfield.
Now there's a throw where Brett Favre is saying, I don't care if I'm 40 years old or not, I still can put it on the football. I mean, just look at this sideline out. Look at the snap. Look at the tight spiral. Look at the velocity coming right at it. That his arm is still live.
Brett says deer hunting still a way for him to relax, his way of getting away from it all. And he keeps it and sneaks for the first down.
You know, he's just look at that.
How about Brett Favre with a season-long 4-yard carry on first down? With fake there, throws to the other side, and being run out of bounds is Greg Lewis.
Boy, Cincinnati keeps coming with pressure while they are ending up with some positive plays for Minnesota. Brett is paying the price by repeatedly having to pick himself up. You know, that takes a little time, faking to the right and then coming back to the left. Jones puts him down. Here's the quarterback sneak that picked up the first down. Brett just falls down. How's that for some high-powered analysis?
Penalty markers fly as Chester Taylor carries.
But he didn't fall down until he knew he had enough yards for the first down. Michael Vick might have scored on that quarterback sneak.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, number 90 defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, first down.
That's Sims, and again, the Bengals doing their best to shoot themselves in the foot.
8. Penalty number 8 for Marvin Lewis's Bengals.
65 yards.
Boy, that is just, and you know, 5 for Minnesota is not, that's not a very good day's work either on the part of the Vikings.
I think we can be sure this was not in the game plan for Marvin Lewis. First down from the 33. Favre looking, throws, sideline, and overthrows. Bernard Berrien was covered on the near sideline. 1:42 to play.
Everybody was covered. I am so impressed with this secondary of the Bengals. And again, it's not a surprise. Jonathan Joseph on the one side, Leon Hall on the other. And then you ask Marvin, what's been the real surprise? He said, I'm so pleased with the way my 2 safeties, Crocker and Ndukwe, have played. And of course, the bad news is we told you Crocker's out. But man, these guys they don't make mistakes. They don't let people run free back there.
On 2nd and 10, Favre, little short pass, complete. Peterson knocked down at the 25-yard line.
Leon Hall's helmet goes flying.
Dhani Jones also in on the stop.
Now this is Brett working through his reads and then checks down to Peterson. And again, Leon Hall came off his receiver and made a stand-up stick on Adrian Peterson.
3rd and 2. Favre throwing over the middle, and that's inside the 15-yard line and complete to Shanko. Minnesota uses the first of their 3 timeouts remaining, and let's go back to that play.
I think this was really smart by Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator. Get Brett Favre moving out of the pocket. Don't sit back there. We've seen when he's a stationary target, the Bengals are doing a great job of putting him on his back. Hello, Basra, Iraq. How's everybody over there? They're happy Brett's in scoring position. They're rocking on over there.
First down now from the 12. Peterson. Ndukwe.
Well, that was just splendid work by Chinedum Ndukwe. everyone knows that Adrian Peterson, he will continue to bounce all the way to the sideline trying to find that opening. And he did a great job of being there to meet him. Yep, Peterson delivered the blow, but Ndukwe did his job. He cut off the corner and did not give him the sideline. Well done.
Peterson up to 57 yards rushing on the day. 97 total yards.
Go!
On second down, throwing, end zone, it is almost intercepted by Joseph.
Well, I got to give Brett credit for stick-to-itiveness, but I'm not sure I'd keep challenging these corners down here in the end zone like this. Jonathan Joseph has played himself a football game so far. Look how close he is to picking that off. And Sidney Rice is a big physical guy. The ball a little bit behind, and whoa, that was really close.
3rd and 10.
I might go back to the middle of the field, see what Shanko's doing. I'd let these corners go for a minute.
Minnesota's converted its last 3 third downs. Pass far side of the field. That's complete to Bernard Berrien to the 6. And Leon Hall was there with the tackle. Clock continues to run, coming up on 35 seconds to play.
Well, that's an all or nothing play for Leon Hall. If he makes the tackle, it's what he just did. If he misses it, it's a touchdown.
And Cincinnati uses a timeout to stop the clock.
There's nobody here to clean up the mess if Leon Hall doesn't make this tackle on Bernard Berrien. And he gets in there and wraps up and puts him down. That safety help would have been way too late. That would have been a Minnesota touchdown.
So each team now down to 2 timeouts remaining, and Favre and company looking at a 4th and 4, and the field goal unit's going to come onto the field. You see Ryan Longwell riding a 14 field goal streak. This one will come from 23 yards out. Good snap, good kick. And the Vikings put 3 more on the board to lead it 13-7 with 35 seconds to play. On Cosby deep. Cosby at the 10. And out across the 25 to the 27-yard line. Look at the numbers put up by Palmer and Favre.
The difference there, Brett has an interception and Carson does not. Let's see if they try to go downfield and try to come up with a big play to get into field goal range.
Both sides 2 timeouts remaining. 31 seconds on the clock. Going to hand it off to Leonard. And Leonard out to about the 35. And the clock continues to move as the Bengals line up in a hurry. Palmer with the short pop there. Loose ball. Fallen on by the Vikings on the far side of the field, Chad Greenway. Winfield with the hit.
Well, the Bengals trying to run what they thought was a high percentage play have had it backfire if indeed this was a completion. I'm sure everyone from Cincinnati now wants to know, did he hold on to this long enough to have possession? Brian Leonard, does he put it away and make a football move? Keep in mind, this is not a challengeable situation because it's inside 2 minutes. It goes automatically upstairs.
And I believe that's what's happening. No,
Yeah.
or no, timeout Cincinnati.
Well, Cincinnati is taking a timeout
second charge
to give the
timeout.
replay official
The 30-second
more time
timeout.
to take a look at things and determine whether or not it warrants bringing Scott Green over to take a look. You have to demonstrate possession and do a football move, take a step. It looked to me like that was a catch. It's close though. I mean, when does he secure it?
There's
He's
possession
got it.
with a step.
He takes a step. Yeah, I think that was called correctly on the field. A catch and a fumble. It was kind of a wobbly pass out in front, and Carson Palmer has to bear some of the responsibility for that because he made Leonard really stagger and dig to catch that.
Longwell from 45 yards as time expires in the first half. And here we go. And that's a no-no. The requisite penalty flag comes out.
It's just
Kickoff out of bounds. Kicker. Ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
You saw a little frustration there from Marvin Lewis, and that's understandable.
well, again, that's the equivalent of a penalty. That's like a personal foul penalty, at least a 15-yard penalty, because spotting them all the way up at the 40-yard line, that is one of the most punitive mistakes in football, kicking it out of bounds.
Look at the difference in the average drive start. And absolutely, give Brett Favre whatever break you can. He starts from his own 40. Peterson. Stacked up at about the 42.5-yard line. And Dhani Jones leading the way. Boy, I go back to our conversation with Dhani Jones yesterday. It's like he was so professorial. He said, I prefer pressure and a fair amount of responsibility.
Well, that's what he enjoys about playing middle linebacker. He played outside linebacker a lot of his career. He said, I need all the obligations and responsibilities. It keeps me focused. He said, if I don't have them, sometimes I'll admit it. I'm out on the field, my mind wanders.
This is Peterson. Maybe 2 to the 45.
Adrian Peterson has broken the one long run and a couple intermediates, but by and large, Cincinnati's been doing a pretty decent job of really honoring their gaps and making him bounce from one hole to another, trying to find that crease, and a lot of times there hasn't been one.
15 carries, 62 yards for number 28 today.
The problem is if one guy along that line takes on the guy in front of him with the wrong shoulder, that's enough of an alley for Peterson to get through.
Favre now on third down. Little short one over the middle. Chester Taylor to midfield and a first down.
Well, Fanene is really struggling. We've seen him battle injury the entire first half. Now he's going to have to come out here at the very beginning of the second. This is why Chester Taylor has been so effective for this franchise ever since he got here from the Ravens. He is the third down guy. He's just got a nice feel for it. Look at the patience.
This is Taylor inside the 45. And Minnesota starting right off with the solid effort to run the football at the beginning of the second half here.
Well, and another Cincinnati defender gets up and hobbles around a little bit. Tank Johnson, their defensive tackle. And again, they're missing Damata Pecco, their maybe best run defender. He had knee surgery, and he's going to be out for maybe another couple weeks.
False start. Offense number 40. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Jim Kleinsaucer, he with the heavy beard under the helmet.
We have seen more than our fair share of not just penalties, but false starts. Both teams have had multiple false starts, and
it hasn't always been particularly noisy, Dan.
Well, there's no noise when Minnesota's on offense. They're at home. It's just lack of concentration. There's no other reason for a false start when you're at home.
Favre pulls it down a couple of times, and he goes down hard, courtesy of Tank Johnson.
Well, and Tank Johnson that time had an opportunity to land right on top of Brett Favre, and he took it. That wasn't a cheap shot, but Brett Favre became a human cushion to soften the landing of Tank Johnson. Johnson at 300 pounds, and he lands right on top of Brett Favre.
Ow.
Yep. And you can see Brett Favre did not get up smiling after that one.
Third time today. Second time today Favre has been sacked. 3rd and 17.
That's why moving Favre, and there Brett, now he got Cincinnati to go. We saw him do it in the first half on a hard count.
Encroachment, defense, number 90, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Marvin Lewis is beside himself.
He looks like he could just scream.
But you can hear it. I'm telling you, in the upper deck of this stadium, you can hear Brett Favre with that hard count. He's going to pop a vocal cord as loudly as he's barking.
No,
I'm not. He's scaring these defensive guys off.
Among NFL coaches, Marvin Lewis is a picture of reserve.
Yeah, he is.
And he looks like he's about to blow his staff.
Yeah.
On 3rd and 12, Favre throws over the middle, got his man. Chester Taylor to the 25 and a 1st down.
Brad Childress told us Brett Favre is an equal opportunity thrower. If you get open, he will find you. Brett looks at every one of his eligible receivers and finds Chester Taylor dragging across underneath. Yeah, nice work, the two of them.
1st down. This is Taylor. Taylor, 15, 10 to the 8-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal.
Well, we've been talking about the gaps. There was a loss of gap integrity there. A huge hole. Take a look at this. Steve Hutchinson gets a great block. Anthony Herrera comes around. He pulls. And a gaping hole for Chester Taylor. And we've got an injured Bengal down about the 8-yard line.
And that's Jonathan Joseph.
But Chester Taylor, this is the Taylor drive. And that's Joseph making the tackle. And he lands kind of hard after going over the top.
We'll take a timeout. It'll be 1st and goal when we come back. Jonathan Joseph jogged off the field under his own power. It's worth noting, against the league's 2nd best run defense, Minnesota has rushed for 92 yards today. 1st and goal. Peterson to the 3.
There's the way you finish a run that makes football coaches happy. The line gets a surge, and then there's contact, and then the ball carrier ends up about 3 yards farther down the line after that contact. Watch this surge here by the Viking offensive line. Nice big hole in the middle. Tahi gets a decent lead block, but man, Peterson just keeps driving and digging.
107 total yards for number 28. He gets the handoff again. Leaping for the goal line, and he doesn't get there.
He met Maualuga. Adrian, I think, is kind of laughing because I think he might have left his feet a little prematurely. He's got a decent crease. Right there he sees a hole. And then he tries to go up in the air, but Ray Maualuga just meets him right there along with Keith Rivers. And he was rejected.
3rd and goal. Peterson, touchdown. And the 34th Infantry of Minnesota National Guard in Iraq loves it. Well, only the 7th rushing touchdown of the season against this Bengal defense.
Another leap by Peterson, and there was no one there from Cincinnati to meet him in midair. Going right in behind McKinney and Hutchinson again, and Marvin Lewis realizes this is he's entering dangerous waters right now.
Extra point is good. The Minnesota Vikings have taken charge. It's 23-7. And the Bengals need some instant offense from the 1-yard line. Quan Cosby comes up just short of the 20-yard line. Adrian Peterson's 1-yard touchdown run capped a 60-yard drive that began after the Bengals kicked off out of bounds. And now the Bengals have to find a way back into this game. Palmer throws near side, complete, and knocked out of bounds at 25 is Daniel Coates.
There's Brett Favre on the sideline during our commercial break, and he's kind of feeling his jaw. And that was from that collision where Tank Johnson landed on top of him. You can see Brett's head is turned to the side, and Johnson's helmet lands right on the left side of Brett's face. And you can see Brett grimacing, and who wouldn't be in that situation?
I grimaced and I wasn't hit.
Yes. Well, he's kind of working the old mandible around.
2nd and 4. Benson. Close to a first down, but appears to be just short. Not a single touchdown scored in the second half of their last 5 games, but the Bengals have won 4 of their last 5.
Well, they haven't scored that many points to begin with. They've had a couple of games where, one time they scored 31, one time they scored 45, but the Bengals have had 7 games out of their 12 that they've played where they scored less than 20 points. In this day and age in the NFL, when you're below that 20-point threshold, that offensively just isn't getting it done.
Now, the Bengals came into this game #1 in the league in points allowed, the only team under 200 to start the week at about 15 and a half points a game. Yeah. Minnesota's put 23 on the board.
Well, and I think that part of those fewer points scored is by design, because they have become a running team. They're one of the few NFL teams that actually runs the ball more than they throw it. Only the Jets run the football more than the Bengals, a higher percentage.
The further along we go, the more Carson Palmer is going to have to start throwing. 3rd and 1. Palmer keeps it.
I think he got it. It looked like a good enough surge where Carson, who's a big man himself at 6'5", 235, he got enough leg drive. He picked it up easily.
Remember, Bengals with a win here can clinch the AFC North, or if Baltimore loses. But Baltimore is winning easily today. First down. Little flare to the near side. Benson out of the backfield. Loose ball. Fallen on by the Vikings. And up and running is Benny Sack to the end zone.
And Brad Childress is trying to scoot his extra point team out onto the field as quickly as he can.
And Marvin is on the line with the people upstairs.
When does the ball come loose? No, that's not a fumble. Cedric Benson has control of the football when his forearm hits the ground. That is not a fumble.
Cincinnati is challenging the ruling on the field that it was a fumble.
Welcome back to Minnesota. Scott Green has just come out from under the hood and has made his decision.
Well, they're trying to figure out where to spot the ball right now. They're trying to figure out where to place. Cedric Benson's knee actually touches down a nanosecond before his arm ever even hits the ground. So he was down on several different levels.
After reviewing the play, the runner's elbow was down with possession of the ball. It'll be Cincinnati's ball. 2nd and 6 at the 34-yard line. Cincinnati is not charged with a timeout.
You kind of feel the Vikings knew it in their hearts.
Yeah, right there. Watch, his left knee actually goes down prior to the left arm even hitting the ground. So Pretty much of a no-brainer after you saw it that Benson was down.
So Cedric Benson still has not lost a fumble this season.
And that is very impressive. In this day and age where defenders have become so adept at ripping the ball loose and tomahawking the ball out of there, it's something they practice every day. That takes tremendous discipline by anyone who handles the football to have that kind of ball security.
He came in with 241 attempts carrying the football. 2nd and 7. Benson back at it, right side. And pulling his way close to the 40-yard line and close to another first down. 3rd and very short.
Have two people ever gotten more publicity for going to a party?
I never told you about my New Year's Eve.
I've never been invited.
3rd and 1.
That would explain that.
And timeout is called, and a penalty marker flies. Did he get the timeout in time? He did.
And Marvin was running up the sideline over there on the Cincinnati sideline, frantically yelling at the official to give me a timeout.
Well, the penalties haven't hurt.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's Marvin Lewis right up here in the corner. You see the play clock in the lower left. Marvin, there he goes. He runs and calls for the timeout. He barely got to the official.
Let's see if it helps. 3rd and 1. Benson. Not on.
A lot of talent on the defensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. Starting with the two Williams inside. Pat 94, Kevin 93, and that's Kevin Williams who comes around from the right side. Edwards coming in from the left side.
Darius Raynaud back at his own 20. Line drive kick, returnable. Raynaud. 30. Lost the football. And it looks like the Vikings covered it at about the 36 or 37. Adrian Peterson.
Well, an awkward week, to say the very least.
2nd and 10. Far. This side. Incomplete. Covered by Joseph.
I'm telling you right now, Sidney Rice must feel like somehow Jonathan Joseph has been stitched to his jersey, because he can't go anywhere without Joseph being there. Look at that coverage. It just doesn't get any better than that. They're rubbing hips, and Joseph elevates at the right time. He gets a hand on the football.
This Minnesota offense on a run. Its last 5 possessions: a field goal, a touchdown, a field goal, and a touchdown. Minnesota's been terrific on 3rd down. Far. Throwing far side. Incomplete. Raynaud, the intended receiver, and Minnesota will kick it away.
Well, and even if Raynaud would have held on to the football, would not have been enough for a first down. Brett's still able to keep a play alive, though, isn't he? Moving around in the pocket. Although I think they've been more effective today when they have intentionally moved him out of the pocket and made him more of a moving target.
You'll forgive the Vikings if they withhold Chris Cluey's paycheck. This is only his 2nd kick today. Crosby dropped the ball and it went out of bounds. Time for Carson Palmer and the Bengals to get something going if they're going to make a difference in this game. Benson, the running game not working against this Minnesota defense. Chad Greenway making the play there.
Well, Greenway makes the tackle, but that play was blown up by Pat Williams. The other Williams, who got great upfield pressure. There he is, number 94. Pat's the bigger of the two Williams. See, look at that upfield penetration. I mean, you just that play was supposed to go between the guards, and Cedric Benson had no place to go but start going laterally to the line.
Lost a yard on the play, 2nd and 11.
Pro Bowler, both Williams. Pro Bowler, Jared Allen.
Palmer throwing, and that's complete across the 25 to the tight end, Daniel Coates.
And welcome back Antoine Winfield, who's just played a sensational game. Yeah, Chad Ochocinco got away from him on the touchdown pass with that beautifully designed play, but man, Winfield, talk about reestablishing your value to your team and showing everybody what they've been missing the last 6 games. Hard to do it better than he's done today.
He's kind of locked things down on his side of the field.
You better believe it.
3rd and 4. Palmer throwing, and that's good for a first down on the far side of the field to Caldwell.
Well, Caldwell he knows exactly where the sticks are, and he ran a good route in convincing Winfield that he was going to go farther down the field. Let's check out this matchup between Whitworth and Jared Allen, and of course, as often happens, he gets help from inside. Nate Living comes out and gets a little stick on the side of Allen.
You saw Jared Allen walking in today with maybe the biggest cowboy hat in the land.
And matched by his enormous smile.
On first down, Palmer on the move, diving to about the 39.
That time, Jared Allen gets double teamed and held. Such is life when you're as good as Jared Allen. Watch this. Starts out on Whitworth, gets inside. Whitworth grabs him by the waist, and then there's more help coming from the inside. Anthony Collins comes out and helps. You know, it's got to be hard to not get frustrated sometimes, constantly being double teamed, but it's what happens to the great ones.
2nd and 5. Benson, midfield, off to the races, 30, 20-yard line. And a huge gain for Cedric Benson. Chased down by Cedric Griffin.
Well, finally, if you keep hammering away long enough, look at that hole between left guard and left tackle. Nate Livings does a good job getting out on Brinkley. And right at the end there, Griffin almost pulls it away. Griffin's 23, and he gets his left arm on it, and almost. He does knock it away. Just fortunately, it came right back into the midsection of Cedric Benson.
12 carries for 89 yards. That was a 42-yarder. Benson to about the 17. And with that, it appears time will wind down here in the 3rd quarter.
It was Ryan Grant did it for the Packers back in November of 07.
And Cedric Benson is 8 yards short of that. Number 32 looking for more. 2nd and 7 as we get underway here in the 4th quarter. Gutierrez to Benson, and he goes nowhere. Here's a big play in the old ball game. Carson Palmer looking, throwing inside the 5-yard line, and not able to hold on was Ochocinco, and here's a flag.
Chad Ochocinco and Cedric Griffin. First of all, let's listen to this. You are not allowed to go towards the neck or the head area of a receiver who's in a defenseless position.
And that's what Cedric Griffin did.
Griffin hit Chad Ochocinco with his right hand on his helmet. You know what? It's hard for a defender to strike with just pinpoint accuracy. You know, it's...
And he and Cedric Griffin just did a little handshake on the far side of the field.
You know, you understand the rule, and you got to protect those guys. But gee whiz, you're asking the impossible sometimes from a defender.
First and goal.
No hard feelings until after this play.
Benson dragged down at the 9 by Kevin Williams, who is playing a whale of a football game.
Well, here in the second half, he and Pat, no relation, are just they're terrorizing the running game here a little bit. They're playing it on the Cincinnati side of the line of scrimmage.
And Dan, the Bengals look bound and determined to run the football, and they haven't been able to do it with much consistency today.
Well, it's what they are, even though Benson is tickling 100, Greg. Here they go with that unbalanced line again this way, to the right.
Benson to the 5.
And Benson, being a smart guy, tucks himself right in behind the beef.
Pick up a 4. It'll be 3rd and goal.
You got the extra lineman there on our left side. Take advantage of it, because that's a matchup you like. You got an offensive tackle, Dennis Rowland, working against a linebacker in Chad Greenway.
Benson to the sideline. Palmer spreads the field on 3rd and goal. Throwing for the corner, tipped away by Griffin.
Never been a fan that just requires such a perfect throw. And it's the matchup that we saw put Cincinnati in this position. Cedric Griffin on Chad Ochocinco. And Griffin playing the football all the way. Never took his eyes off Carson Palmer. Knew where the football was. And how about elevating and getting a hand on the ball? Magnificent by Cedric Griffin.
From 23 yards out, Shane Graham. And it's good. Chad Ochocinco having his face looked at.
Well, that swelling on his nose wasn't there at the start of the game. And yes, that hurts. Yeah, that hurts. Nobody ever questioned the guy's toughness.
Darius Reynard out of the end zone with no blockers. And still across the 25 to about the 29-yard line. 23-10. Bengals need a stop and some offense. Brett Favre going for it all. Tipped in the air and incomplete. Jonathan Joseph.
Sidney Rice is trying to get up. He finally does. Joseph just looks like he knows what pattern is going to be run. Look at his ability to go up and time when he elevates and get a hand on the football. I don't know that a corner could play any better than Joseph is playing so far in this game. Rice went right over to the Minnesota sideline, but man, Jonathan Joseph and his partner on the other side, Leon Hall, but Joseph especially.
Brett Favre is without the terrific rookie Percy Harvin, who is home with migraine headaches all week long. A handoff to Peterson, and Peterson to about the 34. Meanwhile, Carson Palmer trying to figure out a way to get some offense going.
And here's that hit on Ochocinco again. Carson Palmer can't lead Chad because Cedric Griffin is over there on the left. He acted like he wanted Ochocinco to settle into that hole, but that was one heck of an effort by Ochocinco, going back, almost catching a ball that was severely behind him. You can see why Palmer threw it where he did, because of Griffin coming in on the other side.
3rd and 5. Favre and overthrows Chester Taylor out of the backfield. That'll force the punt.
Well, Taylor could have caught that, I think. Brett put the pump fake on him. He let him a little too much, but I've seen Chester catch balls like that before. They're discussing where he would have liked to have had that pass. I think Carson's telling me you had traffic incoming from the other side.
Good kick on Cosby. drifting back to his 14-yard line, looking for running room and not finding much. Back to the 20-yard line.
Well, this is a big-time AFC-NFC matchup. That one's just as big, if not bigger.
Palmer to throw on first down. And he's going to run it out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. How about the two quarterbacks coming up in that game, Dan? Phillip Rivers and Tony Romo.
Well, Phillip Rivers, and again, just look at the December body of work by the two quarterbacks. Sub 500 for Tony Romo, and again, he's got the most. You think Brett Favre's Decembers have been scrutinized lately? How about Tony Romo's? But Phillip Rivers, that's phenomenal.
You bet.
And again, what are the Chargers on a 7-game win streak?
2nd and 8. Palmer, quick pass, penalty marker flies. This is Benson out of the backfield. And this is going to be a hold on Cincinnati.
They're going for double digits.
Offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Evan Mathis didn't start.
And that puts them at an even 10 in the penalty department.
80 yards worth of penalties.
And Marvin is just apoplectic over there on the sideline. And for good, you know, it started off with a penalty on the opening kickoff of the game. And before they could even run a play, they get a false start.
How about 80 yards in penalties, 72 passing yards for Cincinnati today. 2nd and 18.
Now they're 2 scores from winning the game, so there's plenty of time, but they better get it on here.
Palmer over the middle across the 20, incomplete, pass intended for Caldwell.
Oh, nice timing by Ben Lieber. Ben Lieber, who's had to take on a lot of responsibilities with E.J. Henderson being gone. Look how quickly he comes in and closes right here, but he gets his left hand right on the football and knocks it away from Caldwell. You see, he's got the green dot on his helmet. That means he's taking the calls coming in from Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator. That used to be E.J. Henderson, but Lieber's having to call him in the huddle now.
Palmer on 3rd and 18. Throws, and that's complete across the 20 to J.P. Fauci, the tight end, but not nearly enough for the first down. The Minnesota defense, for the most part, has held up its end of the bargain today.
Yes, they have. And anytime you can put Carson Palmer on the move like that, you've done your job.
Penalty marker flies. This is Reynard.
Well, now the question is this running into the kicker or roughing the kicker? Running into the kicker, it'll still be 4th down. Roughing the kicker will be an automatic first.
It's going to eliminate a pretty good run back either way.
Running into the kicker, number 96, defense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Brian Robinson, the guilty party.
And not nearly as guilty as he could have been. If that would have, he comes right up the middle like that, and he, you know, that is
ticky-tack.
Yes, he's on the ground. He misses the kicker. And actually, oh no, you see, that's, I don't know how you call that. That is not running into the kicker. That is the kicker falling over you.
You know, you get more violent a bump on a subway.
Yeah, that's just Graham falling over.
4th and 3.
Huber, I mean, not Graham. My mistake.
Reynard from the 24. And another good return. And another penalty.
Illegal block in the back, number 34, receiving team during the return. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Welcome back, 9:39 to play. 4th quarter. Minnesota with the ball in a 23-10 lead. Adrian Peterson pulls his way to the 39.
Well, the last 2 drives for the Minnesota Vikings have been 3 and outs. And nothing like squeezing the air out of a football here in the 4th quarter, trying to protect the lead. At the very least, Brad Childress says, well, let's at least get a first down and let this clock grind away a little bit.
Go, 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 go. Go! 390! 397!
On 2nd and 4. Quick pass. The slant is good for first down. Sidney Rice with the catch. First down, Minnesota, 46-yard line. Here's 28 again. This game was important to Cincinnati for a number of reasons, of course, not the least of which a playoff spot, the AFC North Championship at stake. But Chad Ochocinco told us last night, the reason why he was looking forward to this game, this is the kind of team that you run into in the playoffs.
Well, it's
the competition.
Yeah, and it's a way to measure yourself, and it's a way to say, are we good enough to slug it out with the big boys? And you know, I think both of these teams felt that way. That these are 2 very physical, hard-nosed teams, and that's the way you have to play to win a playoff game.
Favre rolling, throws, complete, and this is Bernard Berrien, and Berrien down the sideline. First down, Minnesota.
Well, and this is one of the luxuries of protecting a lead when you have a guy like Brett Favre at quarterback, that you're not afraid to put the ball in the air. You're not afraid to go ahead, and yeah, maybe they're really high percentage passes, but they are still right there. Berrien comes in motion all the way from the other side, but twice now they have extended the chains and gotten first downs by Brett throwing the football.
And now they've moved all the way to the Cincinnati 33.
319! 319!
Quick pass, far side. Berrien inside the 25 to about the 24.
Man, that's a nice play, but what do you pay a price at the end of that? That was 3 Bengals hitting Bernard Berrien at the end of this thing. You know, wide receivers don't sign up for this kind of duty. Keith Rivers is the guy who comes in and delivers the biggest of the hits. You can see that Minnesota's been playing a lot of this game on Cincinnati's side of the 50.
Second and 1. You think the 28 is going to get it?
Maybe.
First down, Vikings at the Cincinnati 16.
Well, this is known as a jump cut. Check out Adrian Peterson and the move right here. Bang, right there. That is a classic jump cut. You jump, plant both feet, and then almost like someone had a string attached to you, violently jerking you in the other direction. And that's Barry Sanders was the best at that I ever saw. That wasn't half bad there by AP.
No! 319! 319!
Peterson again. Remember at the top of the day, we told you Adrian Peterson was so demoralized by his 13-carry, 19-yard effort last week at Arizona. He wanted to come in and play on Monday. He is now approaching his 4th 100-yard rushing game of the season.
And I think he was pretty much reflecting the state of mind of his teammates as well, because this is a Minnesota team that prides themselves on being very physical. They don't ever get out toughed at the line of scrimmage, and they did by Arizona on both sides.
Peterson taking a rest. Chester Taylor into the backfield. Taylor bouncing to the outside, back inside to about the 11. Pick up a 3, and it'll be 3rd and 5.
And it looks like the Bengals are going to take a timeout. They are watching this clock tick away.
And that defense may be pretty gassed, too. Well, the Bengals had a chance to clamp down on the AFC North today. And they are running short of valuable time to do it.
Well, when Marvin Lewis talks to the team in the locker room afterwards, he'll I got a pretty strong feeling what might be his first topic. It might have something to do with penalties. The guys, it's hard enough to play the Vikings when you have to play the Vikings and you have to play the yellow flags. It's an impossible task.
Hey, pick rope!
On 3rd and 5. Favre inside the 5-yard line throws a bullet complete to Sidney Rice. That'll be 1st and goal.
Well, this is most impressive. The Vikings salting this one away with this drive right here. They have done it by running the ball. They've done it throwing it. This has been a model of efficiency by Favre in this offense.
We were joking with Brett yesterday talking about, he said, am I really 40? And I asked him, is there anything that you can't do now that you used to be able to do? And he said, no, I don't think so.
He almost was apologetic in telling us how good he feels. He goes, I feel great.
Peterson back into the game. 1st and goal. Peterson with the handoff. To the 4. Maybe the 3.
Well, this Vikings offensive line has played a good game today. They've, last week injuries, people coming and going. Only Sullivan at center and Hutchinson at left guard were the constants in there. McKinney and Lodeholt were out of the game. Anthony Herrera at right guard. He's been a nice addition. He's been back after missing 2 games with a concussion. So they look to be really solid and back healthy.
Much to Carson Palmer and the Bengals' chagrin, this has been a 5.5-minute drive. Peterson to the end zone. The 34th Infantry of the Minnesota National Guard cheering their Vikings on in Iraq.
If that doesn't bring a smile to your face.
That is a Minnesota Vikings record for rushing touchdowns in a season. 14.
The second of the day, he came in with 12.
The extra point is good. 3:24. All that's left on the clock. And a tough hill to overcome for the Cincinnati Bengals as you look at the fine cutback by Adrian Peterson into the end zone.
Well, he's got Steve Hutchinson right there coming out on a pull. He's got Tahi right in front of him who gets the good lead block. Got a nice down block from Dugan, and then again, look at that natural ability making that cut. And even though Pat Sims has him around the ankles, that's too little too late.
And it's worth remembering, the Vikings have come out today and have all but knocked off a very good football team without an outstanding kick returner and wide receiver in Percy Harvin.
Yeah, and your heart kind of breaks for Percy Harvin. Anyone who's ever had a migraine or knows anyone who's had one, just imagine that you've been dealing with migraines that lasted for an entire week. Like Brett Favre told us yesterday, he said, I haven't even seen Percy this week. I have not seen him since Arizona.
Brad Childress told us he talked to Andy Reid, the Philadelphia head coach whose wife suffers from migraines. He talked to Percy Harvin's coach, Urban Meyer, at Florida. Here's Cosby from the 6. And out to the 30-yard line.
Still not at 100-yard rushing at 97, but getting into the end zone twice, that's what it's all about.
JT O'Sullivan is now in at quarterback for Cincinnati. 7th season out of Cal Davis, and a penalty marker.
And it's all about getting ready for the playoffs right now. Smart move by Marvin Lewis.
12 men offense in the huddle. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Palmer is looking on, and there's number 28. Had himself a day, 97 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. A season high 26 carries.
Well, and against a very good rush defense. averaging only 82 yards a game these Bengals give up. So
how about the #1 defense in giving up points, and 30 points allowed today is the most the Bengals have allowed this season.
That's basically double their average.
On 1st and 15, O'Sullivan with the screen. That's incomplete, intended for Benson.
Well, here's what's coming up for Cincinnati.
Look at that one coming up next week.
Yeah, they have to travel to the West Coast to play the Chargers. Back home for the Chiefs, who are not one of the better teams in the league. And then the Jets. Well, who knows about the Jets on any. 1 week they're really good, 1 week they're really bad. It's tough to tell.
They're still alive.
But that game is very large next week out in San Diego.
2nd and 15. That was J.T. O'Sullivan's first pass of the season. This is his second. And that one is behind his intended receiver, Andre Caldwell. Carson Palmer's day, 15 for 25 for 94 yards and a touchdown. Those 94 yards, third fewest in his 7-year career.
Well, you can see that nothing was working downfield when you have 15 completed passes and not even for 100 yards. That is woeful. That's only about 6 yards per completed pass.
And you can't say enough about the defensive pressure put on him by the front line, and you can't say enough about the game Antoine Winfield played at quarterback for Minnesota. 3rd and 15. O'Sullivan throws complete out here to the tight end, Foshee. A little bit of a collision at the 33.
Well, as we move closer to Christmas, I'm telling you, you can hear it. You can hear an audible difference in this game as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. The hitting
what does Christmas have to do with it?
It's late in the season. Christmas itself has nothing to do with it. It's the time of year I'm talking about.
Sounds like Santa sounds like Santa hitting the floor from about a 2-story drop.
I'm just telling you, as you move farther into the season.
Here's Ray now. Back to the 27-yard line.
Let's listen to that last one as we get closer to Christmas.
And over on the sideline, Brett Favre. Wow.
Yeah. You know what he's thinking?
Glad it's not me?
No, we're getting closer to Christmas. The hitting is really getting more intense. That's what they're talking about. Pat's going, I could never get down a chimney.
2.5 to play. And Albert Young in the backfield. Tavares Jackson calling the signals. Out across the 30 to the 32-yard line, and Brett Favre had himself a pretty decent day. 17 of 30 for 192 yards, a touchdown, and an interception.
Keith Rivers a little slow getting up.
Lots for Coach Marvin Lewis and his team to contemplate between now and San Diego next week.
Well, you simply start with the things that you can control, and penalties are one of the things that you can control. You can't control how well the Vikings played, but I think Marvin will certainly have enough to keep he and his coaching staff a little busy in the next couple days as they get ready for the team and really the heavy work day coming up on Wednesday.
We are going to come up on the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here. A despondent Chad Ochocinco on the sideline. He and the Bengals expected much more than what they've gotten here today. Albert Young running room left side, still on his feet and out to the 40-yard line.
I'm not. That's not how I pictured Ragnar.
I got a question for you. How must that first smell?
Oh, I did not need to hear that. But really, Ragnar, you're a Viking. You are oozing.
The Vikings never boogied like that.
No, I don't. I just have a hard time imagining auditioning with So You Think You Can Dance or something like that or whatever. Gee whiz. Dancing Ragnar, that's unacceptable.
Playoff implications here, playoff implications down the road. The San Diego Chargers and the Dallas Cowboys coming up next here on CBS doubleheader action as we come up to 1 minute to play.
Well, two teams that are going to be in the playoffs. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The Vikings, certainly with a win today, have really straightened out their issues from last week.
Well, Green Bay has beaten Chicago, so this Minnesota win clinches a playoff berth only, but the division
still in
is
play.
still up for grabs.
And don't forget San Diego, Dallas coming up next. That is on a scale of 1 to 10, that's about a 9.8.
And that'll do it. Handshakes all around at midfield. Marvin Lewis will come looking for Brad Childress. And Brad Childress and his troops get the better of it today. Minnesota's 11th win on the season, their most since the 2000 campaign. And a most impressive performance by the Minnesota Vikings.